Nurse practitioners are expected to see patients efficiently, but documenting crucial information is also important for patient safety and to lower the risk for malpractice lawsuits. In this episode, I'm going to share with you 4 steps to speed up your medical documentation so you can practice safely and efficiently. Let's dive in. Hi, we're gonna get into today's topic in a minute. But before we're gonna dive into today's topic, I just want to mention that we are giving out free access to our online workshop. This workshop is about confidence. We had this workshop and we got so many good responses, feedbacks from the audience. So I wanted to give it out to more people so that you can boost your confidence and get more career opportunity, get into your dream nurse practitioner programs, and get pay raises. How you can sign up and how you can get access to this workshop is go to a website, usa.jnpproject.com/confidence. Again, usa.jnpproject.com/confidence, and sign up for our free email list. This is a 90-minute online workshop. You can watch it as many times as you want. It also comes with a handout of the slides that I used in the workshop. Again, a lot of people loved it. It really helps to boost your confidence. So I want you to have the opportunity. So please sign up. All right, let's get into today's episode. So this episode is about how to write good progress note fast and efficient. So I'm going to share with you 4 steps so you can document well, and then also you can finish documentation on time so you can go home and enjoy your life, go surfing, you go for dinner with your family and friends or your loved ones, and also you can practice safely, and it's good for you, it's good for your patients. So first step is to put key information into the chart while you're preparing for visits. I discussed this in a previous episode. You have to do some research. You don't want to go in and say, have no knowledge whether you've seen this patient, you have no knowledge of what you discussed. You want to make sure that you are recalling those informations. We'll do a little bit of homework before you get to see your patient. But when you are doing that, you get very important information. For example, you are checking, okay, patient had pap smear last year, it was negative, or she's on this birth control. You are getting all those information that is very important to take care of your patient safely. When I was a student or new nurse practitioner, I used to write down those information into my memo pad. And then after I finish seeing patients and when I have time, I transfer the information back to the EMR. But I realized that actually takes extra time because I'm just going back and forth between the different medium. So I realized I should just write those information right into the chart right away. So when I'm ready to chart, I can remember, okay, so she doesn't need pap smear this year because she already had it. She's up to date, or she's on this birth control. So I don't have to spend time to try to memorize what we discussed or double checking. Wait a minute, what is she on right now? And then going through the chart. You don't want to waste time. You already did that, but you can forget. So I usually put those information when I'm researching, preparing for the visit. I already start writing my note right away because I will put those information. And another thing is if you are writing down those information into notepads, you're actually risking yourself for possible malpractice lawsuits. Because if you lose the notepad, or maybe you have to chart from home, maybe you had extra busy day, you couldn't finish charting, and then now you are home charting, but you have to bring back the notes with you. But what if you get robbed, or what if you lose your bag And now you're potentially exposing private information of your patients, and that can be a problem. So by putting information directly into the EMR, you're not writing down it on anywhere else, and you don't have to carry around with you to secure the information. Actually, that saves you a lot in terms of malpractice lawsuits risk. Second step is to document key information directly into the chart while you are talking to patients. You might think my school taught me not to document or looking down on paper when you're talking to patients because it can be rude. Partially true that you don't want to spend all time looking down, writing down things or document, looking at the computer, not looking at the patients. That can be rude. But you could do a little bit of memo quickly, and actually some patients really appreciate you taking notes because they know that you're taking their information seriously. But be careful, definitely you don't want to spend whole time looking at the computer. When I write down key informations, usually it's just words or if anything phrases, but not full sentences. So for example, if my patient told me I went to the ER on this day, or pain started this day, or the pain is left is worse than the right, or those key information that I think is very important to remember, I would document in the EMR directly, but it's just the keywords, just maybe the date that they went to the ER, or maybe just write left worse than the right, something like that. So I'm not writing whole sentence because I don't want to spend too much time on the notes, but I'm putting those important information. Again, this is very helpful if you had to chart from home after work, because if you don't have any memo, then you have to think, wait a minute, what did she say? When did it start? Or which side is worse? And it takes extra time to think about what the conversation was. Also, you can make mistakes. You can remember things differently. But if you have that information right there, it's faster and you are more accurate. You might wonder why Miki is so insisting on making the clinic flow smooth. It's because a couple things. One, if the patients are waiting for a long time, of course they're gonna get irritated. I would be irritated too if I had to wait hours and hours. So we don't want that to happen. They have busy life. They might have to go back to school or work, or even if it's day off, they have a right to enjoy their day off. So we don't want to waste their time. It's very important to be efficient so they're happy, and when they are not irritated, usually the visits go smoothly. But if they are already like in irritated mode when we start seeing patients, like, I'm so sorry to have you wait, and they're like so mad at you already, it's hard to get information from them and have a good conversation and build trust relationship. So we want to make sure they're happy, but also we want to make sure we're happy as well. We don't want to stay in the clinic for hours and hours to chart. So being efficient is very important. Some nurse practitioners see less number of patients than me, but they might spend extra time for documentation, and then they're very unhappy with their life because they feel like they're working all the time. They don't have time to enjoy their life. That's why the efficiency is very important for your patients, but also for yourself. Third step is to input diagnoses and crucial information as soon as you finish seeing patients. Sometimes your patient might have many problems for one visit. Like I work in a federally qualified health center, and patients that we see tend to have multiple chronic or multiple problems. It could be social, it could be medical, but with one visit, I might diagnose with 10 problems at a time, which is not unusual. But it's hard to remember all the diagnoses if I have to keep seeing patients one after another and I don't get to document right away. What I would recommend is put diagnosis into the chart. You don't have to write treatment plans. You can finish that later on. As long as you have diagnosis, that will trigger your memory and you can write down all the details. Sometimes I do also input if I order some particular blood test or particular test and I suspect that I might not remember, then I might put abnormal urine bleeding, TSH, FSH, something like that. Again, I'm not finishing the note because I want to make sure I'm not letting other patients waiting for me to finish note then see patients. If there are patients that you have to see right away, you should see them as soon as possible. We don't want to waste their time, but at least put diagnosis so that when you go back to the chart, when you're documenting, it's easier to remember what happened during the visit. Fourth step is to finish notes on the same day or at least the next day. When I was a new grad nurse practitioner, I was working at one of the most busiest OB/GYN office in the state. And I was seeing patients every 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is such a short period of time. And I want to talk to the patient. I want to listen to their concerns, questions. I want to give them an education. And by the time 10 minutes passed by so fast, I was really behind on documentation. And I had to document at home on my day off, or I used to go to office 1 hour before I start working so I can catch up with the notes. I felt really horrible because I felt like I was always working and I just didn't like the pressure of feeling like I'm always behind. Also, that was a very risky thing to do because if I'm documenting a week later after the visit, my memory started to fade and who knows, I might not remember things correctly. So you want to make sure you finish documentation on the same day or at least next day. And I think it's very important to up-level our emotional state. If you feel like you're always being late, always behind, and you feel stressed, you cannot perform well. I felt exactly that way when I was a new grad nurse practitioner. Of course, I had extra pressure because I was new grad. I had so many things to learn. But once I caught up with documentation, felt like a lot of weight on my shoulder or lift up, and I felt much better. So you don't want to accumulate documentation too much because you started to depress, feeling anxious, not feeling good about yourself. So make sure that you're not accumulating, procrastinating documentation because it's good for your mental health. I hope this episode was helpful for you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I will appreciate if you leave comments or questions in the comment section. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Aloha.